Talking to you about the pros and cons about moving to France. Bonjour mes amis, bienvenue aux avantages et inconvénients de vivre en France. Let's start with the pros. The food culture, one of the best things in France. The food, just look at the basics, the wine, the bread, the cheese. You have a wide variety, probably the biggest variety of these in any culture in any part of the world. And great quality, wonderful products, and in addition fresh produce, you have seafood and regional cuisine. Number two, fabulous landscape. You go to the Alps, you go to the Pyrenees, you have the north, the south, you have the Atlantic coast, you have Côte d'Azur. I mean, it goes on and on. Fantastic place to go, fantastic place to live. France is the most visited country in the world for a reason. With that goes number three, the pros, cultural attractions. Look at the museums, look at the architecture, look at all the monuments. You know, you have it not only in Paris, all over France. Fantastic regional, wonderful cultures with their own culture monuments. Number four, excellent transportation options. Number one, the TGV, the train à grande vitesse, about 200 kilometers an hour or more, transports you from Paris to Bordeaux to Nice to anywhere you want to go. Very convenient, very fast travel option. Then you have the public healthcare, number five. Public healthcare, France is one of the best places for public healthcare in Europe. Very good doctors, very good quality of care. So definitely one of the pros. Number six, one of the things you will learn, or you have the opportunity to learn in France, is called the Gallic shrug, meaning you can learn to take it all in stride. And you need to do this in order to overcome all these little other obstacles, the cons, which may then turn out not to be an obstacle for you. When you learn the Gallic shrug. So number one of the cons is the cost of living. So you take food, clothing, gasoline, cost of cars, and. So it's very expensive in comparison to some other places in Europe to be in France. Number two, together with that, in a way, the cost of real estate, but a separate point, you have the housing, you have the real estate market for purchase, and you have the rentals. With that goes, they are not very good, the French. It's not their forte to do good maintenance, good upkeep of their properties. And that goes along with, you look at their cars, you know, they're not exactly in the best conditions, and also with their properties. So that's something you really have to consider when you look at the price and also the condition of the property or the apartment. Number three, cost of transportation. We had transportation as a positive, but now cost of transportation is rather high. The TGV, the train à grande vitesse, is rather expensive. There are options to get discounts, especially online. If you book early and special times, and you can get better prices. But overall, trains rather expensive, and the autoroute, the freeways, have very high expensive tolls. So a lot of French people don't go on the autoroute, they avoid them, they go on the route nationale, and they don't have any tolls. A lot of them are also two-lane in one direction and rather well maintained, and that's an option, you know, that you have. Number four of the cons are the strikes. So that's a national pastime in France. You will find strikes at any season, any time, and it can be from the postal workers to the train à grande vitesse, all the railway. It can be the nurses. It can be, you know, lots of people kind of bringing France sometimes to a standstill. So that's something to consider when you move to France, can happen. Bureaucracy, number five. Bureaucracy is invented, like the word says, in France. So the word is bureau, is one part of the word, it's the desk, the office, and the other one is kratos. It's a Greek term, stands for rule or political power. This was invented by Jacques-Claude Marie Vincent de Gournay in the 18th century. And he said at that time in the 18th century, we have an illness in France which bids fair to play havoc with us. This illness is called bureaumania. In other words, it's a very overly complex system, and the forms you have to fill out take an extraordinary amount of time to complete. Another little example for that is of some catch-22 that you can run into France. Let's say you want to rent an apartment. And you want to rent an apartment, but the person who wants to rent you the apartment says you need a bank account. You go to the bank and the bank says, oh, you want to have a bank account. You need to have a lease agreement, and especially we need your utility bills to open a bank account. So you see there's a certain catch-22. Number 6, the downside is no English spoken here. So this can happen to you, obviously, with the government. This can happen in the hospitals, shopping, anywhere. And it doesn't mean the French don't speak English. And very often they refuse to speak English. And so that you can run into a lot of problems, obviously, with that. And something to take into consideration. Better learn your French, and even before you arrive. Number 7, France is not a meritocracy. So that is obviously, if you're retired, no problem. But if you're working, you have a career and you want to move up, move higher, you will most likely not break through the glass ceilings in France, because unless you came from one of those grandes écoles, the top elite universities in France, it will not happen. French society is in that sense very closed. And it's not like in the UK or like in North America that you can really, by showing your potential, you can break through. Number 8, sexism is very prevalent. This is especially for women from the US. They love their women in France, but obviously if you work in an office, in a work environment, you have to be prepared for that. And that is something to take into consideration. Number 9, debate is a national pastime. So be prepared that your beliefs and your opinions will be dissected and thoroughly challenged. So if you are someone who has very strongly held beliefs about political systems, about religion, about countries, about cultures, about anything, and you're not prepared to have them really challenged, then let's say over a dinner with lots of people present, then France may be a little bit of a challenge for you. Number 10, customer service, or the lack of it. So in France, you go into a shop and it may happen that nobody takes notice of you. You ask for some special arrangements. You want someone to do service beyond the call of duty and service with a smile. No, that's not French. It's not on the menu. Sorry, you can't have it. So customers are sometimes seen in France as a nuisance. In France, people go to work, they work from whatever 9 to 5, and they do their job. But service, like in America and UK, with a smile and go beyond the call of duty, forget about it. So that's another opportunity, and as I said before, to learn the Gallic shrug. You just take it in stride and, you learn about it. So this is Vive la France and au revoir et à bientôt on this channel. So if you want to learn a little bit more about other countries like Spain, Portugal, Italy, in the same context of the pros and cons of moving there, check out videos below in the GAN, Global Analysis of News channel name, and you'll find a lot more to peruse in terms of other countries. Thanks so much for listening, and see you back soon in this channel.